YouTube. So I have another video for you, and I was watching, I think it was Cutlery Lover or someone with a knife channel, I can't remember who it was, and they had a buck 110 story, and they were sharing about how their uncle always carried when they were little, their uncle always carried a buck 110, and eventually passed it on to them, and they were, very proud to own their uncle's buck 110, and about how it was kind of just a classic piece of American knife history. And so I thought, well, I have a story about my buck 110. I thought, well, I'll share it. Maybe people will find it interesting. So I bought this. I bought this knife probably, I think it was around 2000. I can't remember when I bought it. Now you can tell, I know there's a way you can tell by looking at the little mark on the knife there. There's a little upside down, looks like horseshoe or something, and that designates the year. And I looked it up one time, and I can't remember what year this was actually made. But I bought it probably around the year 2000, and I was hunting with this knife, and this was like my main hunting knife, and yeah, so this was my hunting knife, and I was out hunting. It was in the fall of 2006, and one of the things I love to do is I love to get up in a tree stand, and in the afternoon I get up there when the sun is kind of beating down on the hillside, and of course I want to hunt the evening time, but I'll get up there early and just spend some time up in the tree stand, because I love being up in the trees, looking down into the forest, just being able to see into, your view is so much better when you're looking down into the forest. A lot of times I'll get up there and just take a nap and just wait for sundown. And then, the best shooting time is that last 30 minutes, right? After the sun is set, you got 30 minutes before sunset when illegal shooting stops. That's when you're going to see all the deer, right? So I remember it was the fall of 2006, and I was up in my tree stand, and while I was up there, I got a call from my wife. I had my cell phone with me, and I got a call from my wife that my sister-in-law had passed away, and she had been sick for some time, and we had kind of been expecting this, but we weren't expecting it so soon. So I decided that I needed to leave, come down from the tree, and go be with my wife. And since she just lost her sister, and her sister lived in another state, so it wasn't like we were going to, immediately run over there to my sister's place. But anyways, I was up in my tree stand, and so I did something foolish with my knife. I keep it, normally I keep it in my case on my belt, right? Well, I had used it for some reason, and I had taken the knife, and instead of putting it back into the sheath, right, and putting it on my belt, I had taken it and I had put it in my pocket, right, and it was just in my pocket while I was up there taking a nap or whatever. And so I got this call, and then I realized, man, I've got to come down and go home. So for some reason I was up in the tree, and I leaned over to pull up a rope or something, and as I leaned over, my knife fell out of my pocket, and it was falling through the trees, and I thought, oh man, this is not good. So I was keeping an eye on it, tracking it. Okay, where is it going? And it went through some branches, and then I heard a clunk clunk, and then a thud, and so okay, I had an idea where I thought it hit the ground. So I came down, and I said, okay, I gotta find my knife. So I started searching around on the ground. Now here in the Pacific Northwest, the ground is very soft. It's full of like this, just inches and inches and inches of like needles that are decomposing. But I thought I heard it hit a couple of, I tried to track it down, and I heard it hit some logs on the way down. So I searched and searched for this thing. I probably spent maybe 30, 40 minutes looking for my knife, and I couldn't find it, and I couldn't stay because I needed to go home. So I said, okay, I left. I grabbed up all my stuff, threw my tree stand on my back, and hoofed it out. And I just kind of gave it up for loss, and I thought, that's kind of a bummer. But I had other things on my mind. My sister-in-law has just passed away. So anyways, my wife went down for the funeral, and we kind of had life put on hold for a while, and then it was about 2 or 3 weeks later that I was able to go out hunting again, and I thought, I want to go back and see if I can find this knife, right? So I realized that it wasn't going to be easy to find this thing. So, but I at that time I was teaching electronics at school, and one of the projects that I would have the kids do is I had them make these little metal detectors. They're called beat frequency oscillating metal detectors, right? And there's a little project that the kids were doing, and so what I did is one weekend I knew I was going out. I grabbed one of the kids' projects, I think one of the best ones that worked the best, and borrowed it, right? I borrowed this kid's project, and I went out and to see if I could find my knife. I went back to the exact same tree, started looking around again, couldn't find it anywhere, right? So I got this little homemade metal detector out, and I started just kind of sweeping the area along the ground, and within about 2 minutes I got a hit. It gets a little squeal, and so it was hitting on this one spot, and there was nothing there, just a bunch of pine needles. Well, I started to dig down into it, and about an inch below the surface, I found this guy. And he had kind of hit, and he had, for some reason, if he had landed like this, I probably would have found him. But for some reason, when he hit, kind of like one end down, and he like buried himself below the surface, and that's why I wasn't able to find him the first evening. So I found him, found the knife, and this guy had been out there in the forest for like 3 weeks, buried in the dirt. So you notice that he's got kind of a patina on him now. That he looks different than some of my buddies' knives. Their brass is all shiny, but I've decided not to shine this up. I just want to kind of leave it with that patina on there, because it when I pull this knife out, it always reminds me of my sister-in-law and that night. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave this patina. And there's a little bit of some of the metal on the blade here is a little bit discolored. I'm probably going to leave that too, just kind of leave it as it is. It's a great knife. Love the Buck 110. The metal is amazing. Just an amazing knife. And anyways, so that's my Buck 110 story. Just thought I'd share it with you guys. Hey, God bless. Have a great day.